I never thought a simple late-night trip to Walmart could turn into a nightmare. My name is Evan, and I often do my shopping late at night to avoid crowds. It's quiet, and I can get in and out quickly without any hassle. That night was no different, or so I thought. I had just grabbed a few essentials and was heading toward the checkout when something caught my eye. There was an abandoned shopping cart in one of the aisles. It was packed with groceries, milk, bread, some canned goods, but something about it felt wrong. It looked like someone had left it there in a hurry. I hesitated, then shrugged it off. Maybe someone had forgotten something and would be back soon. I continued shopping, but that uneasy feeling stuck with me. As I turned the corner of another aisle, I noticed something on the floor, small, dark red droplets. At first, I thought it was a spilled drink, but as I got closer, I realized it was blood. My stomach turned, but curiosity got the better of me. I followed the trail, feeling a growing sense of dread with each step. The blood droplets led me to the back of the store, where a door marked "Employees Only" was slightly ajar. I should have turned around, but something pushed me forward. I nudged the door open and stepped inside. The room was dimly lit, and it took a moment for my eyes to adjust. What I saw next will haunt me forever. In the corner of the room, there was an employee slumped against the wall, his uniform stained with blood. He was sitting next to a body, a woman, her face pale, her eyes lifeless. The employee's vacant eyes met mine, and he muttered. They made me do it. I was frozen in place, my mind racing to make sense of what I was seeing. Who were they? What had happened here? Before I could process anything, I heard footsteps approaching from the hallway outside. Panic surged through me, and I backed away slowly, my heart pounding in my chest. I stumbled out of the storage room, not daring to look back. The footsteps grew louder, closer. I couldn't stay there. I bolted through the aisles, my mind screaming at me to get out. The store felt like a maze, every aisle stretching endlessly, trapping me in a nightmare I couldn't escape. When I finally burst out of the store and into the parking lot, I realized I wasn't safe yet. The lot was empty, and my car felt miles away. I ran as fast as I could, fumbling with my keys as I reached my car. I glanced back at the store, half expecting to see someone, or something, following me. But the lot was silent, the only sound my ragged breathing. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't get the image of that bloody scene out of my head. The next morning, I saw the news. A body had been found in the Walmart storage room. But there was no mention of the employee I saw, and no trace of me. It was like I had never been there. I don't know who they were or what they made that employee do. I only know that I'll never set foot in a Walmart again. That night changed everything, and no matter how hard I try, I can't forget it. The sound of those footsteps, the sight of that blood, it's all burned into my memory, a reminder of a horror I can't escape. My name is Liam, and I've been working the graveyard shift at Walmart for a couple of years now. It's usually quiet, almost boring, with only a few late-night shoppers. But there was one night I'll never forget, one that still makes my skin crawl. It started out like any other shift. Around 2 a.m., I noticed a woman in her late 30s wandering through the aisles. She looked nervous, almost frantic, as she kept glancing over her shoulder like she was expecting someone to jump out at her. At first, I thought she might be lost or maybe just anxious, but the more I watched her, the more uneasy I felt. I decided to approach her, just to see if she needed help. "Mom, is everything okay?" I asked. She barely looked at me, muttering something under her breath about needing to find a way out. Her eyes were wide, darting around like she was trapped. I tried to ask her more, but she just shook her head and walked away quickly, disappearing down another aisle. I didn't see her again for the rest of my shift. But as I was locking up at around 4 a.m., I noticed her car still parked outside. It was strange because the store was empty. I double-checked the aisles, the restrooms, even the back storage area, but she was nowhere to be found. The next day, when I came back for my shift, her car was gone. I figured she must have come back to get it, but something didn't sit right with me. Out of curiosity, I checked the security footage. Sure enough, there she was, entering the store just after midnight. But what really shook me was that there was no footage of her leaving. She had simply vanished. A few days later, I heard the news. Her body had been found in a ditch several miles away. The last place she had been seen was Walmart, my Walmart. I couldn't stop thinking about her, about how scared she looked, and how she kept saying she needed to find a way out. The whole thing just didn't add up. I started obsessing over the security footage, trying to find some clue about what had happened. I watched it over and over, looking for anything unusual, but there was nothing. No sign of her leaving, no one following her, just that strange, empty footage of her walking through the aisles. As the days went by, the store felt different. Every creak, every shadow seemed to carry a sense of dread. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Customers came and went, but I kept expecting to see her face again, to hear her voice whispering about needing to escape. I told my manager about it, but he brushed it off, saying it was just a tragic coincidence. But I knew better. I could feel it deep in my gut that something terrible had happened that night, something that Walmart's cameras couldn't capture. I started to dread my shifts, the silence of the store pressing in on me like a weight. Every time I walked past the aisles she had wandered, I felt a cold chill run down my spine. It was as if the store itself had swallowed her whole, spitting her out miles away, broken and lifeless. I still work at that Walmart, but I'm never alone in my thoughts. The image of that woman haunts me, her wide eyes filled with terror, her voice trembling with fear. And every time I see someone wandering aimlessly through the aisles, I can't help but wonder if they too are looking for a way out, if they too will vanish without a trace. My name is Lucas, and I'll never forget the night I worked the graveyard shift at Walmart. I was there for a quick shopping trip, but what I saw that night changed me forever. The store was almost empty, save for a few late-night shoppers. That's when I noticed a man following a young woman around the store. The woman, probably in her early 30s, seemed really uneasy. She kept glancing over her shoulder, her movements jittery and anxious. At first, I thought they might be together, but the more I watched, the more something didn't seem right. The man trailed behind her, always close enough to watch, but far enough to stay out of her way. I tried to ignore it, but the situation gnawed at me. I decided to step in and see if she needed help. I casually approached them, pretending to look at the shelves nearby. As I got closer, the man's gaze met mine for a brief moment. His expression hardened, and he abruptly turned away, disappearing into another aisle. The woman's eyes met mine as well, and for a fleeting second, I saw sheer panic. I was about to approach her when she hurried off, clearly frightened. I wanted to ask if she was okay, but she was already moving quickly toward the store exit. I felt a cold knot in my stomach as I watched her leave. I finished up my shopping and headed to the parking lot. As I walked to my car, my heart sank when I saw her again. The same man was now dragging her toward a van. She was fighting desperately, but he had a firm grip on her. His hand clanked over her mouth. Her terrified eyes locked onto mine as she struggled. Panic surged through me. I scrambled to pull out my phone and called the police, providing a description of the van and the man. I watched helplessly as the van sped off, leaving the parking lot in a hurry. The police arrived quickly, but by then, the van was long gone. The next day, her face appeared on the news. She was reported missing, and the police had no new leads. I felt sick knowing I'd seen the last moments of her freedom and done nothing to stop it. The image of her terrified eyes still haunts me. I keep replaying that night in my head, wondering if I could have done more. I keep asking myself if I could have acted faster, maybe even stopped what happened. But now, all I'm left with is the haunting memory of her fear and the feeling that I failed her.